We have the most amazing Turning Point USA family. They've rallied around myself, my children, and, chosen family is everything. And then, of course, we're blessed with our family.
In September 2025, a gunshot ringing out at Utah Valley University ended the life of one of America's most influential conservative political activists. The sudden passing of Charlie Kirk was a massive shock that rocked the political sphere. Broadcasts were interrupted, tearful eulogies flooded the internet, and millions of eyes simultaneously turned to one woman, Erika Kirk, the widow, the mother of his 2 children, and now the heir to the massive political empire her husband left behind. Just weeks after the funeral, the collective tears of the online community began to dry, making way for a darker human instinct, suspicion. The internet sleuths started to emerge. They weren't police officers, they weren't FBI agents, they were millions of people sitting behind computer screens, zooming in on every photo, slowing down every single second of Erika's interviews. They began to scrutinize. Why did she smile at the 14-second mark of her speech? Why wasn't she crying hysterically? Why was her press schedule so relentlessly packed? These rhetorical questions, initially just low murmurs on obscure forums, gradually swelled into a massive storm of conspiracy theories. In the eyes of a crowd hungry for a sensational story, Erika Kirk went from the image of a perfect, sacrificing trad wife to a deeply mysterious antagonist. The mob no longer saw a woman trying to stand back up after a tragedy. They saw a black widow hiding a monstrous secret. But online rumors would forever remain harmless status updates if there wasn't a spark. And that spark was named Candace Owens. Candace Owens has never been one to shy away from a clash. As a sharp political commentator, she knows how to steer public opinion, she knows how to dissect vulnerabilities, and above all, she knows exactly what the mob is craving. While politicians and well-wishers use safe phrases like respecting the family's privacy to dodge sensitive questions, Candace Owens chose to dive straight into the eye of the storm. She didn't just ask questions, she hurled accusations. And these weren't vague allegations. She pointed her spear directly at the character, the loyalty, and even the innocence of Erika Kirk in the very death of her husband. Is this a courageous crusade to uncover hidden truths for a fallen man? Or is it simply the pinnacle of social media cruelty, where people are willing to suffocate a widow and tear a family apart just for views and engagement? To answer that question, we must turn over every piece of the puzzle Candace Owens has scattered, starting with a piece of CCTV footage in Utah, a highly suspicious interstate phone call, and a name that suddenly became the epicenter of betrayal: Michael McCoy.
I have to say, any woman that can get on stage and meaningfully say that they forgive the person who their husband that quickly, you are truly a better person than me, because I've just been so angry and so angry. What sort of widow wouldn't want people to investigate the assassination of their husband? She has not explicitly said that, but the influencers are invoking that.
The second Candace Owens hit post, Erika Kirk's face turned redder than a tomato. Candace didn't play nice this time. She went straight for the jugular, dropping alleged proof of Erika's affair with TPUSA's Chief of Staff, Michael McCoy. We're talking actual phone records from McCoy's device, Erika's own statements in interviews after Charlie's death, and when Candace started connecting the dots, everything about Charlie's tragic death stopped looking random and started looking orchestrated. Now everyone's asking, was Charlie's death an accident or the result of betrayal from inside his own circle? His quote-unquote closest friends, his closest political allies, the White House, they all seemed kind of ready to move on so much faster than I was. Candace Owens never believed Charlie was taken out by some lone madman. From day one, she said it. Something about that story didn't sit right. And her eyes? They've been locked on Erika Kirk the entire time. Her suspicions finally hit overdrive when Erika went viral for that emotional tribute on national TV, the one where she couldn't stop smiling while mourning her husband. Watch closely. She gives shout-outs to several names, but her tone changes when she mentions Michael McCoy. She calls him Mikey, says he's amazing, and for a split second, she lights up like she forgot she was supposed to be grieving. That's when Candace's fears turned to certainty. The betrayal came from the inside. And right as people were processing that, the full CCTV footage from the attack dropped, and it made everything worse. In that clip from Utah Valley University, Charlie's giving his speech with McCoy standing just feet away, backpack on, phone in hand, typing fast. And he's the chief of staff, right? So he probably has to be on his phone handling some logistics. But then Charlie gets shot. Chaos erupts. Everyone dives, screams, or rushes toward him. Everyone except Michael. Because the moment that gun goes off, McCoy bolts. He doesn't even try to check on Charlie or find out what really happened. He just runs to the back and grabs his phone. At first glance, it's easy to miss, but once the footage leaked, the internet went wild. Why didn't he help? Who was he calling? It didn't take long for the answer to surface. Erika. In a later interview with the New York Times, Erika was talking about how she found out that Charlie had been shot. She revealed that she had been sitting in her mother's hospital room in Phoenix when she got a call from Michael McCoy, who started screaming, "He's been shot." According to the article, Erika received this call at 11 a.m. local time in Phoenix. Charlie was attacked at 12:23 p.m. in Utah. So if the article is correct, it means that the only person Michael could have been calling at that time was Erika. And that little detail, it changes everything. Because there's no logical reason why Michael McCoy would watch Charlie get shot, not even attempt to help or make sure he's okay, and then rush to call his wife, who's in another state, to randomly tell her that her husband has been attacked. Unless that call wasn't made out of concern, but with some sort of signal. You know, the deed has been done signal. Probably because Michael already knew that Charlie was going to get unalived at that moment. When Candace first started her one-woman campaign to get the truth about what happened to Charlie, many people called her crazy, a nut job, a conspiracy theorist. But this footage, it vindicated her. And that's what it took for people to realize that Candace had been right all along. They just got blinded by the tears and camera flashes. Now, here's where things get darker. Candace has always said Charlie's death smelled of higher-up involvement, that Tyler Robinson, the so-called shooter, was just a pawn. Because think about it, how did Robinson know the precise layout of the venue, the angle, the timing, the exit route? That's insider intel. Even Joe Rogan questioned it, and his reasoning was simple: that gun. The same one they say Tyler used to attack Charlie doesn't add up. The gun is supposedly a vintage German rifle that Robinson got from his grandfather, who used it to fight in the Second World War. But according to Joe Rogan, that doesn't make sense. The photo of the gun and the way it was used fits something much more modern than that. The narrative is that this is his grandfather's rifle from World War I and doesn't have a serial code. Okay, interesting. Okay, why wait? Wait. That's when eyes turn back to Erika. On paper, she's the model trad wife, grieving widow, faith influencer, beauty queen turned homemaker. But dig a little deeper, and that image cracks fast. From her Miss Arizona USA crown under Trump's franchise to her politically connected father, Erika's ambitions run deeper than the camera shows. Compared to Charlie, who was more of a movement face than a player, she had the pedigree and the hunger. So the whispers started. Was Charlie just her stepping stone? And the biggest red flag wasn't even the politics. It was her behavior after the attack. Because while Candace was demanding answers, Erika was posting aesthetics and forgiveness quotes. That's when Candace stopped hinting and started accusing. Y'all know Candace doesn't sugarcoat. The day she connected the dots, she went live. No script, no filter, and she torched Erika Kirk. She didn't just question her grief, she questioned her silence. Why wasn't Erika demanding answers?
I want to say that what's been bothering me in particular are the micro lies. It seems that they're suddenly in the business of telling micro lies, tiny little misrepresentations, tiny little half-truths that right out of the gate seems altogether unnecessary. It really makes me wonder, who are they protecting exactly? You'll see oftentimes they and other influencers will invoke Erika as the reason that it's not appropriate to ask questions. It's just not appropriate while Erika is still mourning for you guys to ask any questions. And I'm just going to come back at you with some common sense. What sort of widow wouldn't want people to investigate the assassination of their husband? She has not explicitly said that, but the influencers are invoking that. right? They're invoking, like, it's not appropriate right now for people to be asking questions. That's what I mean when I say they are David hogging us, okay?
Why was she forgiving the killer before even confirming who it was? And why did every tribute sound like PR instead of pain? Candace didn't stop there. She dragged Tearful SA straight into it, calling out the same organization that Charlie built, accusing them of shielding Erika and McCoy from scrutiny. Her anger was palpable. You could see it in her eyes when she laid everything out. Like this wasn't commentary anymore. It was personal. I want to say that what's been bothering me in particular are the micro-lies. It seems that they're suddenly in the business of telling micro-lies, tiny little misrepresentations, tiny little half-truths that right out of the gate seems altogether unnecessary. It really makes me wonder, who are they protecting exactly? You'll see oftentimes they and other influencers will invoke Erika as the reason that it's not appropriate to ask questions. It's just not appropriate while Erika is still mourning for you guys to ask any questions. And I'm just going to come back at you with some common sense. What sort of widow wouldn't want people to investigate the assassination of their husband? She has not explicitly said that, but the influencers are invoking that, right? They're invoking it's not appropriate right now for people to be asking questions. That's what I mean when I say they are David hogging us. And when that live stream ended, the internet split. Some thought she'd gone too far, but most agreed someone needed to say it. Comments flooded in. Candace summed it up perfectly. Why aren't more of Charlie's friends not trying to get to the bottom of exactly what happened then? There was this other comment that Candace herself liked. As a woman who buried both my kids' dads, I know from experience that in the immediate emotional crisis, you're not asking questions. However, after a week, I've got a million questions and I want answers. It's not appropriate for Candace. It all clicked. The only reason Erika wasn't looking for truth was because she already knew it. And when you add the alleged affair on top of that silence, the picture turns sinister. But speaking that truth came with a cost. The moment Candace went public, the knives came out. What followed looked like a digital ambush. Erika clapped back with a poetic Twitter thread, "There's no linear blueprint for grief." Then she added, "I carry Charlie in every breath, in every ache, and in every quiet act of day-to-day living as I attempt to relearn what that rhythm will be." She didn't name Candace, but she didn't have to. The shade was surgical. Then came the loyalty collapse. People who once praised Candace's courage suddenly turned on her overnight. Far-right influencer Laura Loomer labeled her demented, tweeting, "Candace Owens is now turning her conspiracies onto the wife of Charlie Kirk. Erika Kirk, just know that many of us are disgusted by what Candace is doing to you and TPUSA. Imagine insinuating that Charlie's wife had something to do with his assassination. Sick." But here's the part they didn't expect. Candace didn't flinch. If anything, the backlash fueled her. She doubled down, claiming she'd uncovered something even deeper, something that connected Charlie's death to global politics. And when she said that, the internet froze. According to Candace, Charlie was being pressured by wealthy investors to soften his stance on Israel. Millions on the table if he'd play along. He refused, and days later, he was gone. Candace even leaked messages between them where Charlie admitted he was scared, said he felt trapped and watched. So when you mix those threats with an affair, a suspicious phone call, and a woman smiling through her grief, the story stops sounding tragic and starts sounding planned. If Candace is right, Charlie Kirk didn't just die, he was silenced. And the people who claimed to love him most might have helped make it happen. Now Erika's quiet, Michael's disappeared, and Candace, she's not backing down. Because once you line up those calls, those smiles, and that timing, coincidence turns into conspiracy. Charlie's gone, the people closest to him act like nothing happened, and Candace is standing there alone, holding the one thing they all seem to fear most: proof. So if this was really about grief, why does it look so much like guilt?